The Tower of London was built to hold prisoners. It still does. You just can't see them now. There is a stone in this building that no reigning king has ever dared to wear. It is one of the most famous diamonds on earth. It has been fought over, seized, carried across half the world, and set at last into a crown of the British crown jewels, where millions of people file past it every year, behind glass an inch thick. And in all that time, it has only ever sat on the heads of queens. Not from modesty, not from fashion, from fear. Because the belief that travels with this diamond, wherever it goes, is very specific. Its owner will rule the world, but if that owner is a man, he will die for it, violently, on a battlefield or by the knife. Many of the men who held it did exactly that. So the most powerful monarchy in the world acquired the greatest stone it could find, set it in gold, and then quietly made sure no king would ever put it on. This is the safest, most heavily guarded fortress in the country. It is built on 9 centuries of things that could not be allowed to leave. Welcome to Unquiet Britain. When William the Conqueror raised the first great keep here, the White Tower, the stone heart of what we now call the Tower of London, the story told ever after is that he ordered bull's blood mixed into the mortar, blood in the walls to give the building strength and a royal power that would last forever. The keep itself is real enough. It has stood for over 900 years, but the idea behind that legend, that this place is held up by blood and by things buried in it, is older than William, and it runs underneath everything else here. Because long before the first Norman stone was laid, this ground already had a guardian. In the old British myths, there is a giant king called Bran the Blessed. Bran is mortally wounded in battle, and as he dies, he gives his followers an instruction: cut off my head, carry it home, and bury it on the White Hill in London facing the sea. And while it lies there, no invader will ever take this island. They do exactly as he asks. The head is buried on the hill where the tower now stands, and for as long as it stays in the ground, the legend says, Britain cannot fall. There is one detail that makes the story worse, not better. In the same tradition, the head is later dug up, removed by King Arthur himself, who declares that the island should be defended by men and not by buried magic. The protection is taken out of the ground. The guardian is, in effect, evicted from the foundations he was placed in to hold. But something of Bran may have stayed. Bran's name in the old language is bound up with the raven. And to this day, the Tower of London keeps ravens, 6 of them by custom, with a keeper to feed them, and a belief stated as plainly now as it ever was. If the ravens ever leave the tower will fall, and the kingdom with it. It sounds like charming folklore, but look closer, and it is not charming at all. The ravens do not stay because they are loyal. They stay because they cannot leave. Their wing feathers are trimmed, clipped just enough so they can hop and glide about the green, but never truly fly. The birds that guarantee the kingdom's safety are kept, deliberately and slightly broken. Guardians that are also captives. And the famous version of the custom, that it goes back to Charles II, who ordered the ravens protected, is itself on shaky ground. Historians have struggled to find the order in any record before the 20th century. The tower may have given its ravens a history almost as invented as Bran's. So here is the pattern, set down in the very first stones. A head buried, to guard the realm, then dug back up. Birds kept to hold the kingdom together with their wings cut so they cannot go. At the tower, the thing that protects you is never free. Hold that. We are going to watch it happen to a person next. There is a small patch of grass inside the walls called Tower Green. It looks like nothing, a lawn. It is where the tower executed the people it could not be seen to do so in public. And one execution carried out there in 1541 was so badly done that people have never stopped talking about it. Her name was Margaret Pole, Countess of Salisbury. She was one of the last of the old royal blood, a niece of kings, a Plantagenet, born close enough to the throne to be dangerous simply by existing. Her son, Reginald Pole, had fled abroad and become one of Henry VIII's loudest enemies, attacking the king openly from the safety of the continent. Henry could not reach the son, but he could reach the mother. She was held in the tower for 2 years, an old woman imprisoned for the politics of a son she could not control. And then one morning, with almost no warning, she was told she would die that day. What happened next exists in 2 versions, and the honest thing is to tell you both. The grim documented core is this. The execution was botched. The headsman was young and unsure, or simply bad at the work, and it took more than one blow, several by some accounts, to finish the job. A 67-year-old woman did not die cleanly on that grass. That much the records support, and it is bad enough. The second version is the one that built the ghost. In that telling, the Countess refused to kneel or put her head on the block at all. She would not give them the clean death ritual they demanded. Instead, she ran, broke from the scaffold, and went round and round it, the headsman chasing her, striking at her as she went, until she was hacked down, still moving. Whether a frail old woman truly ran from her executioner, no contemporary source proves. It has the shape of a story grown in the retelling, but it is the image that stuck, and on Tower Green people have claimed for centuries to see it reenacted. A screaming figure circling the spot, white hair streaming, a shadow with a raised axe behind her. She is not the only headless thing said to walk here. The busiest ghost in the whole tower by tradition is Anne Boleyn, executed 5 years before the Countess. There is a story that in 1933, a sentry challenged a white figure drifting toward him in the dark, got no answer, and drove his bayonet at it, and the blade passed through with no resistance at all. The man dropped his post and ran. And among the older tales, stranger than any of the headless queens, is a phantom bear that is said to have lunged out of a doorway at a sentry and frightened him into fits. A leftover perhaps from the centuries when the tower kept a royal menagerie of real animals behind its walls. A bear that no longer exists, a queen with no head, an old woman who would not kneel. The tower took the highest blood in the land and kept it here, first as prisoners, then in the stories forever. Margaret Pole was royal enough to threaten a throne, and that was the whole of her crime. They imprisoned her for it, and then they killed her for it, and the grass where they did has never gone quiet. Power at the tower does not protect you, it marks you. Remember the stone we started with? The one no king will wear? It is the same lesson, cut into a diamond. It sits today in a crown made for a queen consort, and its legend is the one we opened with. Whoever owns it commands the world, but a man who owns it pays in blood. Down the centuries, the diamond passed through the hands of emperors and conquerors, and a striking number of those men met violent early ends. By the time it reached the British Crown, the belief had hardened into policy. The stone is worn by queens. The stone is kept from kings. Which means the most powerful object in the regalia is also, in its way, a prisoner, set in gold, sealed behind glass, and forbidden to the very kings it supposedly empowers, owned, displayed, guarded around the clock, and never, by the reigning monarch, actually used. It is not even the only cursed stone in that building. At the front of the imperial state crown sits a great red stone called the Black Prince's Ruby. The story attached to it is its own small horror, that it came from Pedro the Cruel of Castile, who was said to have murdered the ruler of Granada to take it. It passed to England and was worn by Henry V in his helmet at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. A jewel born from one murder carried into one of the bloodiest days in English history, and now riding at the front of the crown the monarch wears to open Parliament. The Tower's greatest treasures are not trophies. They are inheritances of other people's violence, kept under armed guard because they are too valuable to give back and too dangerous to fully trust. And that phrase, give back, is where the Koh-i-Noor stops being an old curse and becomes a live argument. The diamond did not come to Britain as a gift. It was taken in the 19th century as the spoils of an empire from a defeated kingdom in the Punjab, handed over under a treaty signed in part by a child. Today the stone is claimed by more than one nation that says, plainly, that it was stolen. It is no longer just a haunted jewel, it is a contested one. And the modern crown clearly feels the weight of it. At the most recent coronation, the Koh-i-Noor crown was set aside, not worn at the ceremony, in a decision widely read as an attempt to avoid the diamond's imperial baggage. The stone that is supposed to guarantee dominion over the world has become something the crown would rather not be seen holding. Go back to the ravens with their clipped wings. Go back to the head buried to guard the realm, then dug up. This is the same thing, one more time in its hardest form. A stone of absolute power, set in gold, kept under guard, claimed by half the world, and locked in a case where no living monarch dares wear it. The Mountain of Light, owned by the most powerful crown on earth, and like everything else in this building that is supposed to keep the crown safe, held captive. The Tower of London has stood for over 900 years as the symbol of a power that does not lose. Look at how it does it, and the symbol curdles. It buries a head in the ground to hold the kingdom together. It keeps the birds that guarantee its survival with their wings cut so they cannot fly away. It took an old woman whose only crime was the blood in her veins, imprisoned her and killed her badly on a lawn. And it owns the most powerful stone on earth by locking it in a case and forbidding its own kings to wear it. Margaret Pole was real. She was 67, frightened, and innocent of anything but her family, and she died hard on that grass for a king's convenience. That is not a ghost story. That is the foundation the ghost stories grew on. Everything here that is meant to guard power turns out to be a prisoner of it. The head, the birds, the blood, the stone. Which leaves one question the fortress has never answered. If even the guardians are captives, then who exactly is free inside these walls? This is Unquiet Britain.